Heyo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. We are wrapping up a week-long marathon of bringing the hammer down on all these crazy wrestling shows by having a little bit of fun tonight at the expense of the Wednesday Night War. We're giving out awards. We're picking a winner for week number 2, and we are going to have the debut of a brand new, prestigious award, which will only be found right here on Sledgehammer TV. We're talking about the Poop Hammer. What? Did he just say Poop Hammer? Yes, I did, and if you want to see what that's all about, stick around, because we're going to talk about it right here and right now. My name is Nick Nightmare, and you are watching this week's Wednesday Night War Week 2 review. Let's do it.
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
Before we even get started, I have to give my applause to you guys, man. This has been the biggest week ever in the history of Sledgehammer TV. This channel has finally grown past 2,000 subscribers. The Sledgehead Army is 2K plus strong and on our way to continuing to take over the world as we continue to grow the coolest, newest faction in all of the YouTube wrestling community, and it starts with each and every one of you guys. Every video this week has performed at an insane, optimum level that I have never seen before, and it might be because the interest in pro wrestling is up, and I will take that, man, because you guys have come out in full force. I can't thank you enough. I have never once in the history of this channel put out nearly one video every single day. But the current state of the wrestling business calls for that, and you guys have been there with me all week long. And here we are again to celebrate what was the best night of the week, the Wednesday Night War, the battle between NXT and AEW, and oddly enough, the NXT review is the only review on the week that didn't really pop. So that's the first mistake, the first little negative mark we can give to NXT. The review was terrible, and that's because it was a pretty standard show. It wasn't the worst show in the world, but it wasn't anything to really get all that excited about. So if you guys are new here, let's continue that momentum and show your inner sledgehead and show it proudly by hitting that subscribe button right now. Don't forget to mash that like button. Share this video with each and every one of your wrestling buddies all over the wrestling world, especially if you're gonna have a good time, because I guarantee you we are gonna have a good time here today. And don't forget to drop your own hammers down in the comments section down below. It's been one of the coolest, funnest things that I have come up with. Take that sledgehammer emoji or the little double hammers, whatever hammer emoji you choose, drop your comments down using that emoji in the comments section and let me know what you didn't like the most about this week's Wednesday Night War on either show, both shows. Criticisms and praise is accepted. I want to know your points of view as well. And maybe in the future, some of those hammers will be featured on this show itself. Some of the best comments will be deserving of a shout out by yours truly. So now that we got all that out of the way, let's get today's festivities underway. And we had 2 wrestling shows with a total of 4 hours of professional wrestling, 12 matches in all. 5 matches for AEW, 7 matches for NXT. So NXT right off the bat giving us more for your money, but AEW gave us more bang for the buck. And you guys can't deny that. No pun intended, using the word buck there. We had for AEW 2 singles matches and 3 tag team matches, one of which featured the females. And on NXT we had 5 singles matchups and 2 tag team matchups, 2 of which featured females as well. Like I said, 12 matches in all. And as I went up and down and went back through these 12 matches, there were a couple of matches that you could definitely have chosen to be the match of the night. And now we are going to tell you guys our pick for match of the night. Runners up for this prestigious award, worthy of this cool little thing logo that I designed for it, immediately thought about the Lio Rush versus Drew Gulak match for the Cruiserweight Championship. Was a fantastic matchup. We've seen a new Cruiserweight Champion crowned, and that was a very, very good match. Could have been considered one of the best matches on the night. You cannot discount Walter versus Kushida. That was one of the most talked about things at the conclusion of the evening. It was a very brutal, very cool match to watch, worthy of the main event scenario. But after looking at it, there is really only one match deserving of the match of the night between the two brands. And as great as Walter versus Kushida was, I was not a fan of how the finish went down. I felt like the finish was a little flat. Lio Rush versus Drew Gulak, great representation of the Cruiserweight division. Nice way to start the episode for NXT this week. But there is no question that it just wasn't as exciting or as shocking as Week 2's match of the night, Private Party versus the Young Bucks. First round of the AEW Tag Team Tournament. Great match for AEW to kick off their second show. This match was a high-flying, hard-hitting affair that subverted your expectations because most fans were expecting the Young Bucks to come out on top. This is, after all, for the first ever inaugural AEW Tag Team Champions to be crowned. The Young Bucks going into this thing heavily favored. Private Party, pretty much known by nobody. If you're not in the Northeast here, you're probably not familiar with Private Party, and your only exposure to them has been through what AEW has decided to show you of them. And this match is fantastic. Private Party pulls off the biggest win in their career thus far. It was a great match, full of fantastic high spots. Everything made sense, and it was a shocking turn of events by the end. Everybody expected it to go the other way, and it put a great feel on the night right off the get-go. It set the tone for the rest of the show, and I believe it might have been, hands down, the best match of the night, in this guy's opinion. Don't forget to tell me if you have a different point of view. Drop your hammer in the comments. Let me know what your match of the night was, or if you agreed with me or not. I'm thinking that most of you will probably agree with me. That tag match was just something else, which is going to lead sweetly as a segue right into the breakout performer of the evening. Now, obviously, the breakout could mean a lot of things. It could be somebody that stood out above what they're usually giving us on television. It could just be something that really is starting to pop, like if we had this thing for the WWE, which nothing really breaks out of there anymore except your sanity, but it's something that maybe we would have gave to, the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, because it just broke out, it's taken over, and it's just self-explanatory. You guys know what a breakout performance is. Heavy considerations for choices on the breakout performance. It's not as cut and dry as you may think. Once again, Lio Rush, who has changed his path. He's been repackaged. He's the new Cruiserweight Champion. Fantastic. It could be considered a breakout. Isaiah Swerve Scott, not known by many of you guys. A lot of you know him as Shane Strickland, like I do. Very good eye-opening performance versus Roderick Strong on this night. Then you have, obviously, Kushida, who seemingly just would not stay down versus the bigger, more powerful Walter. He showed great endurance, great strength, great tenacity, earned my respect in that match. But again, Rush is already more known from what the main roster crap that he did. So, he has a consciousness in the wrestling fans already, so it's not so much of a breakout for him. It's just something new that he's going to do, something better. And both Swerve Scott and Kushida lost in their matches. They may have been able to put on a standout performance and definitely did great on this night, and they're going to make you remember them. If you didn't know them before, you're definitely going to make you remember them in these performances, but they didn't win. So you can't put a loser so much as a breakout performance of the night when you have this week's best breakout performance going to a team that won their matchup, a team that advanced in the championship tournament on AEW, and once again we have to talk about Private Party. They were able to hang in there with the Young Bucks. They didn't miss a beat And they stole the show right from the get-go. This win over the Bucks in the tag team tournament to be crowned the first ever AEW champions is the definition of a breakout moment for a tag team that is currently not really in the collective consciousness of the AEW fans. They're new. They don't know much about them. So this is big. This is a big moment. It's the definition of breakout. Beating the Bucks cleanly and convincingly in a high-stakes matchup skyrockets them right to the top of the tag team division. It's going to automatically make them heavy favorites going forward because they took out the team that was already heavily favored, and they probably quadrupled their fan base just based off of this performance here. It was great. This is just the beginning for Private Party. Our first ever selection for Breakout Performance of the night during this Wednesday Night War head-to-head competitive review. And now comes the part of the show that I've been waiting for. I was going to make you wait all the way till the end, but we'll pick the winner at the very end because this is very special, man. And now it is time for the debut of my new favorite segment that I've ever come up with of all time. And it is the presentation of the Poop Hammer. That's right, it's the Poop Hammer. I was going to call it the Shit Hammer, but for some reason, Poop Hammer makes me laugh a whole lot more, and it keeps the show just a little bit cleaner for, I guess, a more family-friendly audience. I don't see any families sitting around watching me, but if that might be the case, I'm trying, you guys. But the Poop Hammer, let's explain. It's pretty self-explanatory if you haven't figured it out already. This award goes to the wrestler, or match, or segment, or promo, or vignette, or whatever it is on whatever show. Nobody is safe from the Poop Hammer. Whatever it is that I dislike the most, the segment or wrestler or whatever that absolutely deserved to be pooped all over. And there are going to be segments on both of these shows. They are not perfect, everybody. And I have the perfect winner for the first ever presentation of the Poop Hammer. And that is going to be Cameron Grimes from NXT. First of all, just looking at this guy right off the bat, he is an underwhelming discount Daniel Bryan in a weird leather hat. Daniel Bryan wouldn't be caught dead wearing leather. But like I said, he's a discount Daniel Bryan. This guy's winning matches over people with one move. This is something that would make sense if you were a big guy like a Keith Lee, or a Donovan Dijakovic, or Brock Lesnar, or somebody with that sort of a stature. But having somebody like him come out and squash people that are bigger than him, wrestlers that aren't even being able to showcase what they're brought to the ring, guys like poor Boa. They make Boa this week on NXT look like, why did you even show up to work today, bro? There was no reason for you to be here. Or for you to take a standing double stomp, make you look like an idiot, because that's a move that is very easy to avoid, especially when you see this guy coming from across the ring. I just don't get it. They see something special in him. Obviously, that's why he's getting this sort of a push. This type of a storyline doesn't lend itself well to a package like his. And that sounds worse than I intended, but you know what I mean. He's a smaller guy, nothing very intimidating or imposing about him. It's not the type of thing that you would expect from a Cameron Grimes. If he went out there and threw down and gave us some quality matches, maybe my opinion would be different. But they're sacrificing other wrestlers for this guy to come out and do what? Be on our TV for 5 seconds and then go away, and I've already forgotten about him because it just pisses me off. So he gets the first ever Poop Hammer. I just don't get it. Congratulations to NXT for being the first brand to receive the Poop Hammer. Cameron Grimes, this whole thing stinks, so that's why you get the Poop Hammer. Bring it! Let me know if you love the Poop Hammer and if you love all the graphics and all of the things that you see floating by your eyes. This is how you know this is completely different. If this is your first time at the show, this is not what we do. Usually we sit here and we tell you guys everything wrong, and we rant and rave, and we bitch and complain because that's what a critic does. But like I said, here we are trying to have a little bit more fun. So now it's time to pick the winner. And to do that, we are just going to very quickly, very easily compare the shows side by side, not pretty much segment by segment, but just overall feel of both shows. So let's get to it. NXT had more matches. AEW had better matches. NXT had good storytelling with their vignettes and promotional packages getting you hyped for next week. AEW had better storytelling in the ring, as made example by everything that happened at the end with the Inner Circle and the attack of Cody Rhodes and all of the nonsense that happened at the end of AEW, definitely making you more intrigued, wanting you to tune in to see what's going to happen next week. NXT opened up with the Cruiserweight Championship changing hands in a fantastic matchup. AEW opened with the Tag Team Championship tournament match, which was the best match of the evening. NXT had better quality women's matches, but AEW has a more interesting story going on with Bea Priestley and Britt Baker. And the fact that those two girls outshined the current champion Rio's involvement and, the other lady that was in the matchup. I was almost going to call her Meiko Satomura. That's not her, but you got Sakura, I think was her name. And I forget, and I apologize for that. But that goes to show you. I can't remember them. But I remember Britt Baker and Bea Priestley's involvement with one another, which you can kind of say works against AEW's women's division because they failed to see what they had and something that they could have attached the championship to make it feel a lot more important than being around the waist of a Riho. NXT had 3 lackluster promos from three of their top stars, Adam Cole, Tommaso Ciampa, and the Velveteen Dream all kind of dropped the ball on this night. Their deliveries were off, their presentations were off, and it was just kind of cringy. Almost like they were not even trying and just going through the motions. Then you had AEW with 2 lackluster choices to be placed in a number 1 contender match. Neither Darby Allin nor Jimmy Havoc seem like they are at world title level to me. I don't think their win-loss record is that impressive to put them in this scenario. They are now going to be facing Chris Jericho before Chris Jericho is on his way to Full Gear to fight Cody Rhodes. So why you're offering either one of these guys up to Chris Jericho and they're obviously not going to win. It doesn't matter if they go to a time limit draw. They're not going to win. So this is a useless matchup, and it just shows AEW relying a little bit too heavily on Chris Jericho right from the onset of AEW. NXT had a very standard and missable episode of the show. If you didn't see it, you didn't miss much except for the Cruiserweight match at the beginning and the Walter Kushida match at the end. Everything else in the middle, you didn't have to see because there was nothing really that important going on. AEW, if you missed it, you missed the breakout performance of Private Party. You missed the introduction of the Inner Circle. You missed Chris Jericho shooting on WWE Creative and the family name of Cody and Dustin Rhodes. And you missed the tease of MJF almost turning on his best friend and joining up with the Inner Circle, which was a very interesting thing to happen. It didn't make much sense for MJF to be siding with his best friend Cody Rhodes, being that he's the biggest heel on the roster. He's the biggest heel, Cody's one of the biggest faces, and the whole relationship doesn't make sense, so you're going to have to make exceptions for it. I don't really care too much for him playing this middle role because MJF is just so awesome as a heel, and I'm just waiting for a big payoff at the end, and I'm hoping that might be the case here. So when you take all of those things into consideration, and that's just the bare minimums as far as comparisons go. If you want a more deeper, in-depth review of each show, those both exist on this channel. AEW and NXT got simultaneous reviews this week as celebrating our 2,000 subscriber mark. It's something I decided to give to you guys, and it absolutely worked out well, so we're probably going to be doing this from now on. But for week 2, the winner has got to be AEW. Not because they got the higher rating, but because it was an all-around more entertaining and much better functioning show. That's not to be said about week 1. We didn't have this format and this type of show and all these little awards that I came up with for week 1. But if we did, NXT definitely took week 1. AEW, without a doubt, was the better show for week 2. So as we're heading into week 3, we are already 1-1 in this reviewer's opinion. Let me know what your opinion was. Let me know if you enjoyed today's show, if you enjoyed the little format we got going here, if you liked all my graphics work, if you liked my selections for Match of the Night, Breakout Superstar, and Poop Hammer. If you got a different selection that you think should have had the Poop Hammer brought down on them from Wednesday night's War, please feel free to drop your own little Poop Hammer. How about that? You could do that too. Put a little, the little shithead emoji, the little poop head, and the hammer, and there you go. You got your own Poop Hammers that you could drop down so that I could know who you would have chosen. And we might be able to feature some of those as well on a feature show. I guess if enough of you guys collectively choose the same moment as a Poop Hammer moment, I'm going to have to acknowledge it at some point, maybe even give it an actual Poop Hammer segment, and maybe we'll do like fan interactions or something like that. I'm trying anything I can to make you guys feel more at home here. I love that you guys keep coming back to me for your wrestling news, and we're trying this new different format. If you liked it, let me know. And you can show your support by hitting that subscribe button right now, becoming one of the over 2,000 sledgeheads that are taking over the wrestling community, one subscriber at a time, as we continue to move on our way to that 3,000 sub mark and beyond. Let's get as high as we can, as fast as we can, and all I need to do that is each and every one of you guys who enjoy a good wrestling show and enjoy having a good time like we did right here today on the Wednesday Night War head-to-head breakdown, an awards show, apparently, and we can come up with new awards too. You guys want to throw some ideas at me? Maybe we can come up with some new little awards that I could make some pretty cool graphics for your viewing pleasure. Do not forget to share this video with each and every one of your wrestling buddies all over the wrestling world, especially if they need a little bit of straightening out as far as the Wednesday Night War is concerned. Don't forget to check out everything else on the channel. Like we said, it's been the hardest working week in the history of the channel. We got everything wrong with Hell in a Cell, everything wrong with Monday Night Raw, everything wrong with AEW, everything wrong with NXT, everything wrong with SmackDown Live, and the draft. Don't get me started on the draft. If you missed that one, go back and watch it right now, because what they did last night was absolutely criminal. Absolutely criminal, and it makes you appreciate Wednesday nights even more. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is the team. Thor the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. His tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in all the world, Mr. Blue the Snowball. The most important member of the team, as always, is each and every one of you. Thank you once again for one of the biggest and most important, coolest weeks of my life here on YouTube. That, my friends, is going to do it. We are out of here, and we will see you next time, because the wrestling train apparently is never going to stop. Right here on your new favorite wrestling show, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV, right here on YouTube.com.
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.